was.
Wrong picture. That was from last week. And so that, you guys and girls, are something that I got to remove from the screen there. There you go. So let me flip this over. That was last week when Al was on. So they see, here's what happens when you go live, things do happen. And so that was what Al Thompson, if you guys remember from last week, Al Thompson, we were talking about steroids. And unfortunately, that gentleman gave Al the finger. And so if you guys missed that episode, I encourage you to go back and watch that one. So yeah, that's the way you start off the show tonight. So that's what happens when things go live. But nonetheless, hey, it's Angel Martinez here with Broad Street South and Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. Thank you all for listening in, not only here on the radio side, of course, over on AMP Radio, over on broadstsouth.com, and over on YouTube. So many different ways you guys can watch and catch the show. As you caught the very beginning, if you guys missed it, I apologize, as there was a picture up there that was in reference to the steroid show last week. So you didn't miss much. It was just a finger. It was the number one. So you guys, if you missed it, it's no big deal. But nonetheless, tonight we have Ron Briscoe back. And you know, Mr. Briscoe brought it the last time, and you guys enjoyed it. You guys enjoyed the popcorn. You guys enjoyed the stories. You guys enjoyed everything. But tonight we have Coach Mac. And the conversation, and one of these days, you guys, I'm going to have it where I'm going to record certain things, not everything, but behind the scenes stuff, because if you get to hear the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, you guys would enjoy it just as much as you do when you watch the live show here. Of course, it is episode 198. We are 2 away from a very major milestone. Episode 200 will happen live at Tampa Joe's this Sunday. Don't forget, the NFL season starts tomorrow with Kansas City and Detroit. Of course, Sunday, it'll be the Eagles versus the Patriots at 425. You guys, if you live in the Tampa area, of course, you can come down and watch it at 9316 Anderson Road. Not only will it be me, you'll also have Ronnie Gent, the former Cincinnati Bengal, former New Orleans Saint, and former Philadelphia Eagle tight end, will be there live with me. Also, Monica from 102.5 The Bone. She's on with Roger and JP, who do their show simultaneously out of New York. She's in St. Petersburg, so she'll be joining me as well, the big Buffalo Bills fan, and she used to work over at WFAN. So Monica will be there with me. So a lot to talk about on Sunday, but tonight it is about basketball. Tonight we're also going to talk about, in reference, I'm going to ask the coach and Mr. Briscoe about the difference between Penguins and what do they think is the first thing when it comes to their mind when it comes to Penguins. So that's how we'll start off the show, and we'll get into the WNBA talk along with, I'm going to tell you guys right now, wait until you see this high school. If I bring it up, hopefully, not like the first picture, but if it works well, you guys will see this high school that looks like a college. And as I told them both last night, I would go back to high school right now and just enjoy and stay there. Like if it was my actual senior year, I would flunk for the next 7 years just to remain at the school. So Coach Mac will let us know all about that. So tonight is just fun, variety of topics. We'll get into WNBA, Breanna Stewart doing big things. And I mean, there's just a lot going on. Obviously, in men's basketball, I mean, you can just name it. We'll talk about it. And also don't forget, it's not too far away from the NBA preseason starting. So as the WNBA season is getting ready to wrap up here shortly, then starts the NBA season. So it seems like we talk basketball all year round. And don't forget as well, the basketball league, which you have the NBA, the G League, and then you have the basketball league. They will be in Orlando this Saturday. So if you guys want to try out for the Basketball Super League, which will be the Premier League out of Canada, you guys can try it out in Orlando. You can go to the basketballleague.net, get all the info from there, and or follow it on social media, on Twitter, also on Instagram, the Basketball League, and you'll find all the info where you guys can go out and try out for these leagues that are forming up in Canada. And then don't forget, in the month of February, we'll have our draft combine together for the basketball league. So again, it's just basketball all the time. You guys love drama, you love comedy, you love everything. Put it in a round ball, throw it through a hoop, and you'll get exactly what I'm talking about here. So with that all being said, once again, it is episode 198. Tonight, Coach Mac, Ron Briscoe here with me. We will see you guys all here on the other side. Welcome to Broad Street South. Just to show you You guys know Mr. Briscoe. He came with us last week. He's back here again, and also with Coach Mac. And first, let me just start off with the apology with the first picture, because again, that was from a former steroid show. So unfortunately, there was a picture up there where the guy was giving Al Thompson the number one. So that's how the show started off.
Hey, man, that's the way it goes sometimes.
It does. It just happens. It's the way it. Listen, Ron, you know, as many conversations we've had in between when we talk about, when
Mhm.
you talk about being with Nike and things happen, coach, I'm quite sure the same way when you were coaching beforehand, things that you set up as a plan sometimes aren't executed the right way, but it happens. It's just the way it works. But before I start things off, and first of all, Coach Mac, not only thank you for being a coach, for being a mentor for a lot of young men and women, because I'm not going to single out just one person. You have what it takes for as far as when it comes to men and women for you to be there for them as a mentor. And hopefully the mentees, whoever been after you, that they understand that they have a lot of good and big shoes to fill. And we also understand too that you do have a athlete in your own home that you're going through the process. So thank you for taking the time and coming on with us tonight, Coach Mac.
Yes, the pleasure is all mine. I'm so looking forward and excited about tonight's discussion in all things basketball.
Now, as I said here in the previews, as a teaser here, when you think of a penguin, what's the and I'll start with you, Ron. What do you think of when you think about a penguin?
Well, first thing I think about is a tuxedo for some reason because the penguin looks like a tuxedo to me. And I'm thinking about it's cold all the time. It just looks cold all the time. But tuxedo and being cold, how about that?
All right, that's a good one, Coach Mac.
I definitely think about cold, but it's the walk, the wobble. So when you're
The
walking, you're
wobble.
wobbling. Yes, they wobble when they walk. So definitely the walk and cold.
That is true. Well, I'm going to give you a different kind of spin here because Penguin Pretzels out of Newport Richey, Florida, the best kept secret, by the way, in Florida. So they make a lightning bolt logo, which the logo itself is from the Tampa Bay Lightning. So if you guys know the NHL teams, the logo looks just like the one you have there up there on the screen. And Gabby Shirley,
Hmm.
who is the broadcaster and media for the Tampa Bay Lightning, they were at Hat Tricks today and they were filming a segment. And lo and behold, the pretzel, which I thought they were going to have on display, they decided to have on display there. So Gabby put out on a tweet earlier, I think I need to give you a clue. And the clue would be that the lightning season is right around the corner. So buffalo wings, celery sticks, and you can follow up with a lightning bolt pretzel. So if you guys are looking for the best tasting pretzels and you live in Newport Richey or Hillsborough County, Pasco, Hernando, you name it, if you're in Florida, visit penguinpretzels.com. You guys can not only order your most tasty, delicious pretzel, but they also have a to go shop right on Little Road. So you can put in your order, pick it up this week. I mean, they normally have their traditional pretzels where you guys can drive by and pick up a traditional pretzel. But not only that, they have buffalo chicken. And I know Nick and Susie, if they're watching, I apologize. They might shoot me, but I believe it's a buffalo chicken pretzel, stuffed pretzel that they have. They have a pepperoni stick pretzel. They have a hot dog pretzel. I don't want to say too much because obviously I'll make myself hungry and get ready for work again tomorrow. But listen, if you guys need a basketball pretzel, they can make it. That's how good Penguin Pretzels is. So you guys can visit penguinpretzels.com, visitor shop over on Little Road, 4305, if I remember the address correctly. But don't take my word for it. Go to penguinpretzels.com. The address is there, and you guys can order a pretzels to go. Oh, and by the way, they're now going to be open twice in September on the 9th and the 30th. Normally it's 5 days a week. They'll be extending it for 2 Saturdays, 6 days a week. They're open from 11 to 3:30 or 3 o'clock, excuse me. And then as the business picks up, they'll pick up a lot more hours. But within those hours, they get a boatload of folks. And Charlie Belcher featured them on Fox 13. He comes around every single year. So if you guys want a delicious tasting pretzel, again, think of it, send it to Nick. those guys will create wonders. I will tell you right now. So you can't go wrong. So Gabby Shirley, thank you for putting that out there, that tweet. We do appreciate it, from penguinpretzels.com. And so that's what I think about when I think about a penguin, because it's unusual, right? You think of it being
It
cold.
makes
That
you
is.
hungry.
Yeah,
It makes
exactly.
you hungry, right? Okay. Penguin doesn't make me hungry, but it makes me cold.
What
Definitely wouldn't think about a pretzel, but hey, I'll go with it.
that's
Yeah,
what
why
you
not?
think about it. It's almost like what was it, Tennessee Tuxedo? Was the penguin?
Yeah. Hmm.
Now I'm dating
That's why he
myself.
was a
So
penguin.
yeah,
Yeah, he was a penguin. You're right. I'm dating myself too, but hey, it comes on. It comes on antenna TV anyway.
it sure does. Well, there's nothing like the old school cartoons. It's something completely different compared to what it is today. But listen, nonetheless, first of all, Coach Mac, because listen, all I have to do is sit back when Ron tells a story. I absolutely love it. You guys know it. I got the popcorn ready. And last night I told you guys, right outside the studio window here is Orville
Mhm.
Redenbacher. They were nice enough to drop me off a truckload of popcorn. So I already got it buttered up, tasting. I'm just getting ready to go here. But Coach Mac, one thing is it's got to be not only tough as far as coming up through the ranks, playing, first of all, playing the game, also becoming a coach, because there's a lot that takes away from your personal life, even though you guys may not say it doesn't, but I know you guys work very hard at your craft. But there's a lot of good takeaways from learning not only how to play in the game and then becoming a coach. So I want to start off with this. As you transition from the athlete to now the coaching athlete, how much of a difference was it from playing the game to now sharing the aspects of the game?
Oh wow, huge difference. Mainly because as an athlete, you know, the only thing you really have to focus on is your game, your performance, showing up, class. But as a coach, it's a business. And so you don't see that as a player, right? So you have to, get other schools prepared to come in. You also, depending on the level of basketball that you play, also, some have fundraising so that way you can include that into the schools to help, support the athletes, support the program. But even more so, traveling. You have to get traveling together as far as the players coming in, then the players having to go out, even with yourself when it comes to recruiting. And recruiting alone, oh my goodness, like that that itself is a true lifestyle. It's a different lifestyle because you're always on the go. um, there were days I didn't even know what that day was, because either I was either on the road or I had been in a gym like all day. And so I could ask, my friends, like, man, what is today? But recruiting is key. Traveling is key. Just in relationships, always meeting people. That's really huge when it comes to this industry is relationship. One of the things that I can say that I learned, is it's important for you to know people, but even more so, what's important is who knows you. And that
Mhm.
industry is really, really huge when it comes to networking. That's pretty much how a lot of people actually get in the game. I can say that's probably one of the ways that I got in is who knew me. So there's just so much to say about the the other side is what I like to call it, the other side of the game than what you see as a player.
And it's funny because we talked about it before, and Ron, we had talked about it as far as networking. I think that's
Uh-huh.
the key word. When a lot of people talk about how do you do certain things, you network, and it's the biggest thing. I mean, Ron and I have networked now, if you want to call it that way, for the last 3 weeks, and every week it continues to get better and better because you end up learning something new. But yeah, it's you bring up a great point, Coach Mack, and Ron. I want you to jump into this as well because you know it as
Yeah.
much as I know. When you being with Nike, networking works wonders.
It sure does, and Coach Mack, hit on several very important topics about, coaching and also promoting the basketball as far as your school and what you have, your facilities, and you know what recruits need to look for. Um, Also, the aspects of going into the academic part and you know really what is the core subjects that the school has for a recruit to come there? Something is there something specialty like being in an accounting program, being a doctor, being an engineer? There's so many aspects that a coach has to bring to that recruit's attention. But when she talks about relationships, I mean, she'll run into a person that's like me, that's an evaluator, and we want to, talk to the coach because they always want to say, well, hey, come over here, let me talk to you because who do I need to see? I came to see this one person, but is there somebody else that I need to sit down and see? And most of the times when a coach walks in a gym, they just going to see that one person, and all of a sudden they'll look and they'll see somebody else and say, "Well, who is that over there? I like this person over there." So they'll watch them, and all of a sudden, the person that they came to see, they wind up seeing somebody else that they like that may be doing the same thing and playing possibly the same position or a position that they know they're going to need down the road. So it's very important to have relationships. It's very important to talk to people in the stands. That's what one of my keys were, to listen to everyone that when I walked in the gym, because there was somebody from the community that knew every player's name. When you say, "Well, who is that?" Yeah, they goes, "Oh, that's Joe Brown's son. He's from down the street, and that's my cousin over there. That's my cousin Walter over there. And that's my nephew down there. And all of them been playing ever since they were like 12 years old together. So you learn a lot, and you get to pick that up. So yeah, coach, you're right. It's busy. Relationships are very important. Networking is very important, but coaching is a great key for mentors, and it's a great key for helping make girls out of women and boys out of men.
I have a question that comes in. Joey B, a great friend of the show out of Colorado. Joey B states that to both Coach Mac and Ron, thoughts on the NIL deals in college basketball and the influence of transfer portal on college basketball, good or just all bad?
Let me answer that one first. Uh, it's a new era, and the NIL is something that's really really hot right now in the last 2 years, and the transfer portal has been very hot. And you look at it as a landscape of an NBA landscape, uh, but college coaches just haven't made that change. And the change is having a roster to where you deplete it because now guys, they're not happy because they're not playing. They're not happy because they're not getting along with certain people on the team, coaches, and they're not getting enough playing time. So they decide to leave. Coach has to reconstruct a whole new roster. And this is where the evaluation skills come in. This is where the relationship skills come in. This is where, hey, we need to know everybody that's in the portal, and we need to know that have we touched anybody in the portal that we wanted to come to our school at first. And now you got to keep that door open. You just can't shut everybody down. The NIL, it's a monster. And the reason I say it's a monster is because, for instance, Kentucky, Duke, UConn, schools like that have plenty of money because of the boosters, can get car deals, and these rich people can get these guys $50,000 or $100,000, and at times there are some kids that can make $1 million, but there's a lot of schools that don't have that luxury of doing that. So for instance, I'll give you a situation where there was a guy that was a Sun Belt Player of the Year, and he was a guy that thought he was going to be a pro, but he didn't go pro. But he played on a championship team, won the crown, and then he decided to go ahead and transfer, and he transferred to Memphis. And it's like, hey man, you don't want to finish up here? Nope, I'm going to Memphis. You know why? My NIL deal is better. But the scope about it is that it gives the athletes freedom to move and do what they need to do because this is their life and they need to run their life. And just like college coaches, I mean, you look at a better job, guess what, you're going to take that better job and get paid more. So everything about the NIL I like, but they have to have some controls, some rules, and some regulations on it to make it worthy. What do you think, Coach Mac?
Yes, Joy, first off, great question. Probably a question of the year. Initially, initially when this came out, I can honestly say I had mixed feelings about it. One, I do understand from, an athlete, a student athlete, a lot of kids don't have money, right? So, and
Right.
some parents don't have money. So it's like, what income do you really have to support yourself? And let's say for those kids who are not on a full athletic scholarship, like what support do they truly have? So in that instance, I could understand that being an advantage, that being a good tool for athletes to have to be able to, support themselves, to build their brand, okay, to truly have a lifestyle. On the flip side, well, it depends on the generation. Okay. So you do have, let's say, some kids that are very privileged and don't really just truly work for what they should work for. And it's easy to them. And I can honestly say, you have some kids, not all, there are a lot of kids that are out there that are really, really hard workers, but there
Hmm.
are some who I would say just take advantage of it and feel like they're privileged to have this. And so, do you really truly work for what you really have? The transfer portal. Wow. That right there is a true monster. Okay. My son is a senior, and I told him I need you to understand how real the transfer portal is. Okay. It's not like it used to be where you earn your scholarship, you felt like you had a safe place. Well, now,
Hmm.
I mean, it's pretty much almost like the NBA. You could be traded. You could, you may or may not have a spot. So it's like you're always constantly looking over your back, just wondering, am I going to be here? But at the same time, it's also a great tool because you do have some coaches that are just not good coaches. Let's just be honest, right?
Hmm.
And
Right.
they don't see the full potential in players. And so they may not be valued as they should. Well, this gives that player the opportunity to transfer to another place, a better place, where they can reach their full potential and be able to perform at a high peak.
I have a follow-up question, and there's one as well for you, Ron. But Joey B states that Coach Mac thoughts on Becky Hammond, coach of the Las Vegas Aces. Will she be an NBA head coach?
Oh, absolutely. I love Becky Hammond. I've been watching Becky since she was a pro bowler. Amazing guard. I mean, just high IQ, very, very smart, great scorer, great shooter. And even now, as you can see, when she was with the San Antonio Spurs, the difference that she made, even just on that coaching staff, and pretty much how they respected her as a coach and what she brought to the program. Yes, I most definitely think she will eventually get to that point. Unfortunately, I think it's going to take longer than what it should be for the simple fact, unfortunately, that she is female and a lot of people are not ready for something such as that. But I do believe at some point she will probably be the first female coach on that level.
Would she get the same respect? Ron, I have the follow-up question from Joey B as well. But Coach Mac, do you think that would she get the same respect from the men as she does from the women? Because again, it's two different worlds. We see what happens in UConn. That's Coach. It's a whole different world up there, and he's had the respect for the ladies up there for years. Obviously, have won many NCAA championships because of the level of respect, but for me, and I think Joey brings up a great point because I think Becky Hammond would be a great NBA coach. And as you said, it's going to take a little while because the way reality works for men to female. But um, would she get? Do you think that she would get the same respect from the male athletes as she does from her female athletes right now?
I think she will, mainly because of the position that she's in now as the assistant. So she's basically building, her portfolio, right?
Right.
Obviously, she's extremely knowledgeable of the game, and which I think will make it very easy, very convincing, if you will, for her to be able to make that transition. So I don't think it'll be a struggle for her. I think it's just a matter of, the higher positions being able to be on board with it at the time that it should. And matter of fact, honestly, I think now, I mean, she's obviously ahead of her time, right? She's
Yep.
a female coach on that side of the platform. So I mean, just to see what she will be in just the next few years, I think it's going to be amazing. It's just a matter of when the NBA wants to catch up to it.
I think so as well. I
I
mean,
agree.
yep, I think so as well because again, it's let's in due time, everything has changed. Life has changed. The world has changed, and I think before where it used to be more of the joking side, like oh, we're never going to see a lady do this. We're never going to see a lady executive. We're never going to see a lady CEO. All these different changes in this world that we're starting to see finally because it's taken, as you stated, longer than what it should. But my only thing too, I guess, to the follow up, because I know Joey's got another question here as well. But the would there be, Coach, other ladies that are right now coaching in the WNBA are also coaching on the college level? Other than obviously congratulating when she gets to that point, will there be others? And I don't want to say like I don't know if the word jealousy is in there, but would other ones be I guess maybe upset because they felt that they should have made that leap as well, but because of the accolades that Becky has, that it would push her to the forefront first?
I don't think they'll be jealous. And I'm pretty sure there's more to the story than what we know, right? There's always two sides to the story, mainly
Right.
because there's hurdles, unfortunately.
Hmm.
And I believe that's probably what a lot of women have faced when it comes to being able to progress in that particular position. Do I think there will eventually be more? Yes. One person I would love to see, honestly, is Lisa Leslie. Um,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
Good
mean,
one.
amazing mind, wonderful player. There's so much that you can say about her. In addition to one of my favorite players, Cynthia Cooper. You don't see
Hmm.
her, you don't see her around much. However, when you go back and look at her game and how she played, um, at that time in women's basketball when it was first coming out, and just to see how dominant she was, how aggressive she was as a scorer. I mean, if you were to put her from then in the game now, I mean,
Mhm.
honestly, she would still be a hard player to guard, hands down.
All right. Now, Ron, the follow up question to you, and then there's another one for Coach Mac. But Joey wants to know. Oh, nope. Sorry. Let me bring the other one back. We already saw that one. Let me which questions here because I know we already answered that one. Joey says, Ron, thoughts on the movie Air and how realistic it was. Just thought to ask you with your Nike executive background.
Oh, okay. That's a great question. Well, like Sonny Vaccaro was the guy that came up with the great idea. He's come up with a lot of ideas over the years with him being in the shoe business, but he did come up with the ideas saying like, "Hey, what do we have to lose to go after Jordan?" The thing that a lot of people don't know, uh, the backstory is there's a guy at Nike who uh, ran the Jordan brand, which name was Howard White. Uh, of course, Sonny got him to the table and signed him. But behind the scene, Howard White was the guy that Michael and his mom really liked. So they call him H. He's out of Hampton, Virginia, and H was one of the first guys to work at Nike, and he took over when Michael signed, and he ran all of Michael's business deals through Nike with the Nike brand. So really, the guy that a lot of people don't know about is Howard White that really took over, and another guy that really came into the picture was George Raveling, because a lot of people would ask like, well, how come Sonny's not running Michael's camps and Michael distance? He was the first guy that got Michael to sign with Nike. Well, he got him to sign, but he really wasn't didn't have that relationship that a lot of people thought he had. He just had a great idea, and it worked, But when they got out to the Nike campus and started meeting all the people that Michael was going to work with, Howard White really impressed Michael's mom, and that meant a lot. And they really impressed Michael, and that also meant a lot. So that's really what they liked about Nike and liked about the situation Michael was going to be in. So Howard White has a lot to do with it. George Rebelin is the guy that came in and met Michael when he played on the U.S. Olympic team. George was his assistant coach. Bobby Knight was the head coach. And he got to know Michael, and him and Michael became friends, and he started running all of Michael's, being the director of Michael's Jordan brand, as far as his camps and his senior camp out in Vegas. So George ran all of Michael's stuff, along with a good friend of mine named Glenn Wilkes, who was the director of the camps. He and his son Glenn. So that's a little backstory that a lot of people don't know about.
Pardon me, I want to make sure I didn't cough on air. But the follow-up question now from Joey. And Joey, thank you for all the great questions here. This one goes back, looks like Coach Mac, with the growth of the women's game. Thoughts on how the Final Four has grown in attendance, media coverage, and revenue-wise. Great to see the women getting their due and the opportunity.
Wow. First off, just thinking of the Final Four this past year was amazing,
Mhm.
unbelievable, right? And I mean, they were like the most watched show in the nation. So who would
Yeah.
think, or who would think this would happen, especially on the collegiate level? So, I'm excited about it. I'm really looking forward to college basketball, in the next few weeks. But it is great to see that it's growing. We're still not there. We still have a lot to bring to the table. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that I guess I don't know how you want to say it, but society is just not caught up to yet when it comes to women's basketball. One of the things that I either read or watched a couple of days ago about how women in WNBA are just now being able to have like paid leave, maternal leave.
Mhm.
So, this is 2023. Why are women even in that particular area are just now able to have that time to be with their family just because. So, it is great to see. Are we there yet? No. Do we still have a lot to go? Absolutely.
That is, it's true. That's amazing. You would think out of the WNBA, so it's the women's league. How in the world
Mhm.
from day one was that not part of the inception to the rule?
Yeah.
It's insane
Yes.
to really think about, like, a
Yes.
lot of the stuff that, you know, even okay, so even in the regular workforce, if we're going there, in the regular workforce, how many years did that even take when you had women in the work field? And obviously, we know, first of all, for the moms that are out there, thank you for what you ladies do, because the sacrifice that you do for not only the 9 months, but the many years that follow, because you never stop
Mhm.
Mhm.
being a parent no matter what. So thank you for the ladies, because some of us who have kids, very fortunate, very grateful for it, because again, no matter what they say, yes, the old saying is, well, the men rule the world. Listen, let's stop playing jokes, because it's 50-50. If we're all keeping it truthful here, when women, if you have somebody really good by your side, she's going to lead you in that right direction, because she's going to keep pushing you just to do better, because like everybody else,
Mhm.
we all want to see each other do better. But when you have someone by
Mhm.
your side that that has that confidence, and they know, like, I know, I see the potential, look what I've done. And for a lot of women out there, not only is going into the workforce, having the child, unless you say hypothetically they stop school to then have the child, it's then baby one hand, booking the other, and career is still just rotating. So it's amazing.
Mhm.
And sometimes some of us cry just because we got a little nail coming off or something else like that. So the sacrifice the women do, God bless, because and I know some people make the comment, oh, you're bringing up too much of their platform. It's not, because you really think about it. Women have come a long way to where, and still not there yet by any means, but some of the laws, some of the stuff that's put into place, it is amazing. Years later, that it's still not like a law or not at least part of a company's code ethics. So it's amazing. But yeah, I could go on with that stuff forever. But it's it's just it's amazing to me how still executives don't see things the way it should be done. But hopefully in the years to come, things will continue to change. But the WNBA, Coach Mac, I mean, we saw last year, obviously, Las Vegas Aces taking it all. Then you have the Golden Knights, who fortunately won the NHL title. They won the Stanley Cup. Joey B, a huge fan of uh, of Denver. Obviously, he lives out there. But not only that, I mean, obviously, we saw the All Star game this year. I happened to be up there for the summer
Mhm.
league, and the week after the WNBA All Star game was in town. And even during the summer league, it was amazing for me to see all the young girls that were going to the summer league games because they knew the following week the WNBA All Star game was going to be there. And it was nice to see because some of the WNBA athletes were at some of the summer league games, those who are fortunate to be off. But it's just Vegas just seems to have a grasp on sports at the moment. But the Las Vegas Aces have are we going to see? I guess in our small decade here, could the Aces be or at least become the first dynasty in the WNBA?
Hmm. Do you
Yeah,
think?
that's a good question. And that's probably a loaded question more than anything. um, do I see it happening? Yes, it can be, especially if you have a player like, Asia on there. I mean, she's extremely dominant. Like, how can you just really stop her? Keeping players like her around would definitely keep attracting more and actually, build that platform for them to become one.
No,
Hey, let me ask Coach Mike a question since you
sure.
brought it into the platform here. Coach Mac, since we're talking about the WNBA and we're talking about top college players and top WNBA players, the question I have for you is: there are two players that I really like in college: Caitlin Clark, who plays for Iowa,
Mm.
and Angel Reese, who plays for LSU. Can you kind of give us a breakdown of what you think about them as far as how well what they do on offense well, defense well, uh, how good of players you think they are, what they need to improve on, what their weaknesses are, and what do you think they'll be as hypothetical pick in the WNBA?
Well, for one, I definitely think they're both going to go high, like hands down. That's no question for the top two. I think it'll be just a matter of who would be one and who would be two. Now, in terms of strengths, Caitlin, man, can you truly say she is the Steph Curry of women's basketball? I think that will be,
Yes.
okay to say. Okay, I think we can all agree on that
Yep.
one. Yes, but yeah, Kaylin, I mean, range out this world, extremely high Q. I love the way she passes the ball. And then even more so, the smart thing that I noticed about Caitlin is when you take her dribble away, because that's her bread and butter there. She loves to shoot off the dribble, right? If you just go back and
Hmm.
watch every time she ready to score and shoot, she's shooting off the dribble. So if you take that away from her, she passes it, she gets her teammates involved. So that's one of the things that I love about her is her ability to see the floor, how well she passes and how well she gets her teammates involved. The weakness that I can say about her is her defense, right? So when I think about that, I think about Steve Nash, right? So he's strictly mostly offensive, right? But defense, probably not gonna pretty much find him on there. But he's a great
Hmm.
offensive player, and so is she. Like again, she can shoot anywhere out this world. It seems like, but I believe that her defense is what really will kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say hurt her, but it is a weakness.
Hmm.
So when she does get to that WNBA level, that is something that she's definitely going to have to work on. Another thing that I noticed about her, specifically in the LSU game, um, it was Jasmine Carson. She really, really showed Caitlin's weakness because Jasmine kept attacking her, and it was easy for Jasmine to attack her. So if you do get a chance to go back and watch the replay of that, you'll notice that was one of the things that LSU did well when they played against Iowa. Was that they definitely, or Jasmine specifically, definitely attacked Caitlin as far as scoring. Angel
Hmm.
Reese, my girl Angel. One thing I love
Yeah.
about her, she gonna talk. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And one
Just
thing
like
she
you,
does
huh?
well, and I can she's gonna talk, but you gotta love it, right? Some people love it,
Yes.
some people hate it. But the smart thing about Angel is that she really truly knows how to get in a player's head. So if you can get in their head, you can take away their game. That's a
Hmm.
basketball slogan, let's say. Okay. She does that exceptionally well. Her ability to move, the way she moves around the basket, back to the basket, or even facing it, she does extremely well offensively on that part. Um, Now, as far as her weakness, I will say it's her defense also. Excuse me, her defense also. Sometimes she tends to not want to move when she sits. So, in other words, she's
Hmm.
not in the right position and she easily gets into foul trouble. So those are the couple of things that I would say about them. When they do get to that next level, I think defense is the main thing that they're really going to have to step their game up on, because once they get to that level, it's a lot more aggressive. So it'll be interesting to see how they both transition to that level. I think they're going to do well, but it
Hmm.
still be interesting to see how they will grow from, let's say, if they choose to stay through their senior year. I don't think Angel wants to, mainly because of the money that she's making now, right?
Mhm.
Making
Um,
some money.
she's making some money as a college athlete. So there you go. So if they choose to stay all 4 years, or even if not, just to see how they would transition to that next level, I think will be extremely interesting.
It will be because I will say this much. Now, I found it amusing when she stated, obviously Joe Biden said that the losing team should also come up to the White House, and I like Angel Reese's response because she's right. The reason why you get invited to the White House is because you're a champion. It's not one of
That's
those
right.
things like, oh, okay, well, I'm a champion and we're not the champions, but we're going to be invited anyways. So I like, what her comment was. And a lot of people, what made me laugh was how many people were hating on Angel because they were saying, oh, so what if she invited them? No, it's been like that for years. You get invited to the White House because you won a championship. That's the way it's been for many, many years. But you bring up a good point too, because with Joey talking about the NIL deals from beforehand, Angel Reese is making a ton of money in college.
Mhm.
So it
Mhm.
makes you wonder. And again, we know that the salaries aren't that big, again, still in the WNBA as it continues to grow. But Coach Mac, if she gets a deal overseas, would Angel Reese
Ooh.
entertain if she's getting more money overseas or stay here in America to play the WNBA?
You know, that will be a tough question. And honestly, I just think it's where her head is at that moment. She may be all about her money, like, hey, I'm going to overseas because I can make more money. Why not? It's kind of like the whole idea of her still being in college, still making more money now than probably what she will later. So I just think it depends on where her head is at that moment. She may or may not decide to go overseas, and then she may just want to stay home with family and just try to help build the WNBA to where it could be.
No.
I agree. I agree.
I think it's just it's a lot. I mean, and the only thing I so for me personally, the one thing I wish they would show every athlete, no matter your ethnicity, your background, absolutely nothing. And when it comes to the finances, I think that's the one thing that we don't hear when people talk about when these young men and women are coming through and they're making money for their colleges. Now they're getting this NIL deals. And some of these athletes, I forgot, I think one quarterback right now is standing to make almost $20 million out of
Who is
college.
that?
But there's no
Who is
one
that?
that I'm trying to remember because I just overheard it this past week, and I'll have to get back to you on that one, Ron, about who it was. But I'm almost certain it's one of the Southern football teams. But he's standing to make on NIL deals, I mean, he's just getting loaded, and I'm almost certain it's $20 million. But the big thing is, no one is showing any of these athletes, these young athletes, of where and how to invest your money to look for the future and not worry about so much
Mhm.
as the now moment. Yeah, we would all love if
Mhm.
believe me, if I ever made it as far as an athlete, would I love to buy my mom a house, or take care of my dad? Of course, because I mean they took care of us. Whether you came from
All right.
a home with mom and dad or a broken home. Either way, it's like, all right, maybe mom will get a little more than maybe what dad would, but either way, you're still taking care of them. But the big
Right.
thing is that, all they see is just money and everything right now in this world. Everybody knows that
Mhm.
it happens fast. So you can roll
Right.
right through your
Mhm.
money like it's absolutely nothing. So that's the one thing I wish that someone would go to these athletes and say, listen, before you go and spend that 100,000, 300,000, that $1 million you made, first of all, don't forget there's this thing called Uncle Sam. He's going to take his fair share.
That's
And
right.
then
That's right.
let's talk about your investment future.
I think a lot of people forget
Yes.
about Uncle Sam. They
Uh-huh.
forget about he's going to get his cut, and you're not going to get the whole full million. But yeah, they're going to forget about that. But anyway, I think that Deion Sanders' son upped his NIL money
Yeah.
bag over the
Yeah.
weekend. So I thought that was the guy you was talking about that was getting 20 million. I was like, well, he he did a good showing to make 20 million. The way he broke a record with 512 yards of passing, and the way that he didn't have any interceptions in the game. So I was like, yeah, I see the Colorado people looking at him, and I just learned yesterday that the Deion Center just signed a new 5-year deal for $29 million at Colorado.
Yes.
Yeah. And on top of that, Ron, so Colorado today became the fastest, highest grossing merchandise university because of the weekend game. And obviously, and it's funny because
Yeah.
with Deion Sanders, no one's calling him Coach Sanders, Coach Deion. It's Coach Prime. It's how
Coach
everybody's been
Prime.
referring him to. And
I
Yes.
stand corrected, Coach Prime.
but to me, I think it's funny because if you look at when obviously when he was with Dallas and listen and obviously with Atlanta, he was just flashy. That's just the way he was. He brought the spotlight to himself, but he had the game to bring the spotlight with himself. That was the great thing about Deion Sanders. So whether you loved him or hate him, it made no difference because now you look at him and even his post game conference, could he have beat his chest a little bit more? No, he just stated the facts the way it was, how the game was played, how well his son did. And this week, it's been nothing but Colorado talk. Now, Coach and Ron the same way, right? You don't have to physically beat your chest, but you're walking around campus a little bit, stronger and you're feeling confident and everything else. But then you got week two, and then you get blown away week two. Now the opposite effect's going to happen. So it'll go from Coach Prime to Coach Sanders. Let's talk about week two. So it's the
Well, he
good and
went
bad
from
and
prime
everything.
time. He went from prime time to Coach Prime. So he made a difference. So that's where he's at today. He matured a little bit.
Yeah. Now,
Angel,
I want to hear
one of the
about this.
things that you brought up was about the money situation and the kids. I know one of the things that some friends and I have talked about. We wish that's something they would start teaching like in high school,
mhm.
so
Hmm.
that way people would know how to manage money or have some type of financial literacy. So that way, when they do get to that point, they know how to handle it. It won't be such a a shock, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
No,
great idea.
yep. They have to because
You got
you
to
got to
have
think
that.
about it. And now I could be wrong, and just okay. So everyone who just tuned in from Sports Radio 102.9 FM, the game also over on AMP Radio and live on broadcastsouth.com. You guys can see it's 50 minutes into the show. I told you guys just like last week, everything rolls like butter because that's how smooth the show has been. But the one thing is, and it's not political whatsoever. But my thing is, I think that's the one thing in America in general should be teaching us that when we're at the high school level, because I think it's a reverse factor. It's almost like you're set up for failure before you learn how to be successful. Because
Right.
the pressure shouldn't be whether I'm going to send my child to college. It should be his or her choice. Sure, would it be lovely to see them get a college diploma? Of course. If they get a trade, that's even better. They can, because they want to make that choice. But whether you go to college, whether you decide to just go out into the workforce, there should be somebody, whether being in your junior year or your senior year, saying, hey, you know how you turn that dollar into two, that two into five, that five into 10, and so on and so forth? That's where it should
Right.
be explained, because I think it's faulted. And I know, I know that the media loves to always say, well, the lower neighborhoods, it's got nothing to do with the lower neighborhoods, because guess what? Your upper class neighborhoods, the same way too. Everybody's on that same spectrum. You
Mhm.
got to figure out, how are you going to control your finances as you go now from a young adult to an adult, and figure out what life is all about. So, I mean, and that could be a whole show
Mhm.
for a whole different day, because I'm pretty sure I'll get comments for that one as well. But Joey
I want to hear
said,
about that high school. I want to hear about that high school, Angel.
oh, I do too. But Joey followed up. He said, with as far as Prime Sanders, his son, he said it's a $4 million per year deal in NIL under Under Armour, Gatorade, Mercedes
Mhm.
Benz, and Beats by Dre. That's crazy.
Wow. Okay. 4 million.
That's for
I'm
now.
happy for him. Let me applaud for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He killing it, bro. He killing it.
that's for
Killing it.
now.
Yes.
But now,
Shadir is
so
definitely doing it.
Coach Mac brought this up yesterday. I'm going to tell you guys, and I unfortunately I cannot bring up the picture, because the picture wouldn't load up the way I wanted to. But I'll make sure I'll put it out
Mhm.
there on social media so you guys can follow us. But Walnut Grove High School, and for those who are listening on the radio, I'm going to try and paint the picture. Now, think of, if you guys went to, let's say you're from Atlanta, and you guys went to the Mercedes Benz Arena. Now, picture yourself in the middle of Mercedes Benz Arena and look around and say, wow, look at this. If I make it to the big time, Walnut Grove High School, yeah, that's Mercedes Benz Stadium, because it is ungodly ridiculous with this high school, from the weight room to the baseball field, the basketball court. I could live, eat, sleep, take a nap, read a book. That stadium is absolutely insane the way they have it set up. But Coach Matt, because you were the one that we're talking about last night, before the show today, but you said that there's 9 different practice facilities just for basketball alone.
So that's in Duncanville.
Duncanville.
The school that
Okay.
you're in, yes, that's in Duncanville.
Okay.
Walnut Grove High is in Prosper, Texas, so it is new. Like it literally opened this year. I'm pretty sure they have more than one gym facility. I mean, that's just an average for Texas high schools. Okay, to have more than one facility as far as the gym, and then you have maybe another building that could just be for ninth grade only. So you have to consider the facilities that are there also. So again, to have a massive size high school, that's pretty much the norm for high school students here in Texas.
See,
Yes, sir.
Ron, I'm telling you, just like I told you guys last night, and for those who are listening in today, I would honestly, my senior year, listen, I would, from September, let's just say your school starts, most of them start in August now, but let's just say from August to December, I'd be acing my classes. Come February, I'm like, I don't think I want to go. Let me go ahead and get these zeros so I can do this again come next year. Because I mean, it's a beautiful facility. I mean, what other high school do you go to? You have what? Sonic. Um, what else did I see? I think
Subway,
yeah,
Subway,
Subway.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut, Chick Fil
Chick-fil-A.
A.
Yeah. Pizza Hut. Yeah. They
When I
just
went to
have all
school, it was
kinds of.
hairnet, sloppy joes, and whatever fit on your tray. Now these choices are
Sloppy
ridiculous.
Joe. Yeah, they are
Yes.
ridiculous, man. I tell you what, I was talking about North Shore High School in Houston, where the football stadium can hold between 25 and 30,000 people. Yeah, that's a high school, and you have some
Hmm.
colleges that don't have that type of seating. So wow,
Hmm.
it's amazing.
It is. And I
They
think
make it big in Texas.
they sure do. And we were there 2 years ago, and we drove from Houston to San Antonio. As I said last night, They shouldn't even call it a warehouse. It should be, I don't know, something out of this world because it just goes for miles. I mean, it just keeps going. I think we passed by an Amazon warehouse. It felt
Ooh.
like 15 miles long the way this building looked. And we couldn't even see
Mhm.
the back part of the building. That's how big this warehouse was. But you know what? It's always been said things are bigger in Texas, except for the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys fans, I hate to break your heart. Not for you guys. But you know, everything is just
Don't beat
bigger
up
in
on the
Texas.
Cowboys like that.
Listen, I'm just saying from the Philly
Wishful
side. That's
thinking.
all I got to say. And speaking of Dallas fans, you are welcome to Tampa Joe's. Just don't wear your colors there. But you're welcome. Y'all just walk in the door. You guys will be all right. But no, it's listen, and I think kids today, and I know again, it's a fast-paced world compared to when we were growing up. We were all about going outside. Like as soon as we got done with the homework, we go hang out, with the kids on the block, and depending where you lived at, that was the fun part when we were growing up. Now it's a whole different story. But again, me being in my teens and going to these Texas schools, I'd tell this mom, dad, y'all don't mind if you just stay here for the weekend, right? Y'all can pick me up when the school year is over. I don't be staying there. But yeah, hey, enjoy it.
You'll be a stowaway at school, huh?
I sure would. The principal, matter of fact, the maintenance guy would have to. What was that movie, the Breakfast Club from years
Yeah.
back?
Mhm.
It would have to be like the maintenance guy walking
Mhm.
up to me. Hi, you still here? Listen, I like you. I'll move so
I
you can
live
clean.
here.
No, but it's just it's amazing to me because again, for a lot of parents, obviously today, and again, those who come from one family, that's great. Those who come from multiple families, and it's good too because you learn. You learn as an individual. One thing that I will say is, if you do come from a broken family, understand that both still love you. They're just going to love you in a different way than when they used to love you as one, no matter what it is. And don't feel just because you come from that broken family, it's like, oh my God, I can't stand this one. Or, oh my God, I can't stand one. It's going to happen in the very beginning. We know it because we don't like to see it. But either way, you got to learn how to be grown adults and then just learn from it because you don't know. Whether dad took off, whether mom took off, whether they both took off, and you're just standing in the living room, like, where's everybody at? You learn from life and you keep moving from there. But that's the best thing I can say. And as we're getting close to here to wrapping up the show, if you guys haven't noticed, Ron has been back here now for week 2. Coach Mac now making her first appearance here on Broad Street South, and I can't thank her enough because we had a lot more stuff to get into. So maybe, I don't know, just throwing a little nugget out there, maybe a 3-pointer, call it what you want. This may be something new so if you guys enjoy week 1 and week 2 with us here, maybe we'll throw a name out there for you guys on social media to see what would the name of the show would be. But I don't think this would be the last of Ron Briscoe and Coach Mac. So you guys might want to set up a social media calendar and start writing in a particular show. And I'll drop that little nugget because maybe next week there might be a hint of something that's coming up here on the network. But again, I would love to have Coach Mac back again because the wealth of knowledge, you guys, like I said with Ron, he hasn't even broken the tip of the iceberg. We're still, I'm going to compare it this way, right? So here's the top of, let me get into focus. Here's Ron's mountain, right? And then you have the world mountain. We're like right here because we haven't even got up to Ron's mountain from all the experience that he's had. And then you have Max mountain. So as we bring those two together, we're right here. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on at the top of the mountain, but either way, I've enjoyed it for the past hour. I've had a lot of fun. And for those who don't know, Coach Mac just turned 22 last week. So a belated happy birthday to Coach Mac because
22 again.
exactly.
Happy birthday, Coach Mac.
Yes, I turned 22 again.
Exactly. Now Joey B came out with a quick one here. He said Mac and Mac spilling the tea.
Oh, I like that, Joey.
And Joey's been he's been a great friend of the network. He's been around for 3 years. I can't thank Joey enough. He's always tuned in. And by the way, he is a coach, not only a dad, but he's a coach himself. So, Joey, thank you for hanging in there for the hour. Everybody else also who tuned in on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game, also on AMP Radio. I saw a couple of people in the room as well, so thank you for the comments, as well as here with us tonight on BroadestSeaSouth.com. And don't forget it, tomorrow night we'll be on for episode 199, and then the big episode premiere 200. The NFL season begins. Again, Monica from 102.5 The Bone, formerly of WFAN in New York. Also now with Roger and JP, you guys can listen to them from 11 to 2 on 102.5 The Bone here in Tampa, St. Pete. Also, Ronnie Gent will be with me again, the former New Orleans Saint, and for those who don't know, Coach Mac. What team do you like?
It depends. Which
NFL?
sport are we talking about?
NFL?
I have to be a Saints fan. I have no choice. My son would
better be a
not let
Saints
me
fan.
live in
She
my
better be a
house
Saints fan.
without being a Saints fan. So I'm a Saints fan. It's not a bad thing,
I'm
but
a
I'm a
Saints
Saints fan.
fan. I'm a diehard Saints fan. How about Who Dat Nation Saints fan?
There you go. So I'll make sure. I'll let Ronnie know on Sunday, but he played most of his NFL years, came with the Saints, and then he was with the Bengals and the Eagles to start off, but he will be there Sunday. Ryan Neff will be there as well. And of course, all the crazy Eagles fans, I would say at least from 500 to 600 folks that turned out last year during the opening of the season. So it's a lot of fun. And then not only that, 3 weeks from now, you also have the gang from 97.5, the Fanatic, down here in Tampa. It'd be great to see my old counterparts from Philly. They'll be down here as well, along with Philly Sports Strip, Vince Rizzuto, who does a great job with Philly Sports Strips. Also, Tampa Joe's. Don't forget to visit them at tampajoes.com, 9316 Anderson Road in beautiful Tampa, Florida. Hop, skip, and a jump from the airport, along with Penguin Pretzels. Again, you guys want that delicious Penguin Pretzels we talked about in the very beginning. You guys have a pretzel idea, send it over, and they can make it happen. PenguinPretzels.com. And don't forget the visitor shop on Little Road. You can go to Penguin Pretzels to go and order what you need from there as well. And Joey B came out with one more before we sign off here. And he said, Mac and Mac from Beyond the Arch. Dang. Not bad.
Pretty crafty.
Not bad.
Not.
Yeah, he's pretty crafty.
Very creative, Joey.
That's all right, Joey. I have to talk to you off air here, and we'll get together with some shows. So again, you guys might be seeing this dynamic duo once again come next week, and we'll even let you know if there's going to be someone else, a big guest coming up. Also, to finally leave it with this, as there may be a current, and I'm going to leave it out there, a current TLC reality star that could be coming on this network within the next 2 or 3 weeks. They will have to conclude their season on TLC, but look for that on social media as well. A well-known person, and hopefully that will happen sometime soon. I got the okay, so that should be a fun show as well. So if you guys like a little bit of TLC drama, you might want to tune into that show. So for Coach Mac, for Mr. Briscoe, for my lovely fiance over in Studio B, for Debbie, and for everyone listening in from all over the nation and all over the world, we can't thank you enough for tuning in here tonight on Broad Street South on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. We will catch you guys tomorrow night. Enjoy the evening, enjoy yourselves, and more importantly, make sure that you take care of one another.
See you later.